Australia. I don't want to live anymore in a big city. I think in Australia, like, you can have many different experiences. You can like find jobs really quick. I felt it maybe more as a foreigner. I felt like a different thing. At the end, it's been 9 months. The moment I entered China, for me it was in a dream. Yeah, I mean, I felt really welcome wherever I was going, a totally different perspective compared to what like people told me about the country. I see myself as a big journey. When people ask me how long have you been traveling, for me is since the day I left school.
Okay, so I just ask you the questions directly.
Okay.
The first one is, why did you want to go on a working holiday to Australia?
Let's say that Australia was a dream since I was a kid. So for many years I imagined to go to Australia. One of the reasons was because I was a swimmer before, till I was 18. But my first swimming coach, he moved to Australia when I was 13. So I made it like a promise, and I told him, okay, I will come to visit you one day. And for me that was kind of a promise that I wanted to follow. I was really fascinated about Australia. And then I knew there were many opportunities in terms of jobs and making some money to save up to travel. I was like, yeah, okay, let's go to Australia. But yeah, I remember I was still living in London, and I was thinking, okay, I want to go to Australia. I don't want to live anymore in a big city. I want to change. I want hot weather. I want the ocean. I want the beach. And
the nature thing.
Let's go to Australia.
So, did you have a job in Italy before, or like, did you resign, or you just came to Australia right after you graduated?
No, actually, I left Italy when I was 19. So I never had a job in Italy.
Yeah.
Or maybe I had a couple of jobs, like a lifeguard and like some jobs in resorts, but never something like too serious.
Yeah.
Then I moved to London, and in London I had different jobs.
Yeah.
But I left London. Then I traveled around Africa before going to Australia.
Oh.
So
So you fly from Africa to Australia?
I came back to Italy. I stayed a few months in Europe because I got sick. I got some problems. I stayed a little bit in Europe, and then I moved to Australia again. And so I wouldn't say I quit my job. Like me, I just do like this sometimes. I work really hard, and then I stop a bit, and I travel again. So let's say I didn't quit like my life. My life was just going this way, It's just the way I think it was my life.
So, did you go to the working holiday to any other country before?
No, actually this one was my first one.
Yes, Australia is your first one.
First working holiday because in the UK was just a normal visa for me. I mean, I didn't need any visa to get in at the time.
Yeah.
And I worked as well in Tanzania, in Africa. Just when I was 19, like a job in a resort. But as a working holiday was the first one.
Okay.
I saw like you can make in Canada, New Zealand, Australia.
Yeah.
I don't know, my first choice was Australia at the time,
Okay. Does the working holiday is a popular thing in Italy? Or like, do you have a terms like gap year among young people in Italy? Or like travel around the world, like go further? These kind of things.
I would say nowadays it's getting more popular, like the working holiday visa. Especially I think with Instagram and social media, people are really attracted to that. More people are moving compared to before. I wouldn't say in Italy it's really common to get a gap year or travel around the world. I mean, I saw many, like you can meet many Italians everywhere in the world. In terms of working, like maybe some Italians, they go, I don't know, to the UK, to Germany, Spain, even to Australia, but it's more focused on working because I think the economy in Italy is not the best. But in Italy there's this mentality that usually or there used to be, now it's changing, maybe with the new generations, that you go and you look for maybe a safe job. If you can get a job, for example, in the police or in the school, those jobs that you get a job and you stick on it, on your life. It's like, to feel safe, And maybe I started doing this before. Not much before, I'm part of this trend as well. But I started since I finished high school, I wanted to go away. And nowadays I see people a bit younger than me, they travel more. And same as people even a bit older than me, maybe 30, 35, they kind of change their lives and maybe they quit their job and they travel. You don't need to stick on your job in Italy because in the world there can be many opportunities. So maybe people feel a bit more safe.
It's a kind of another way to experience the life, the different life, rather than the work. Stick to the work.
Yeah, because at the end, in Italy, let's say, okay, still of 25, 30, 35 is okay. But maybe if you don't get when you're 40, 45, you use your job, that's a problem to find another job. It's not really easy. If you have a good position, you have to stick on it, you know. But nowadays, we're realizing as well, okay, if I lose my job and then 40, there are like, I don't know, 27 countries in the European community, if I'm not wrong, I can go to another country and find a job. Because
you don't need to worry about that.
Okay, if you have like responsibilities, if you have kids, if you have, I don't know, more like a house to pay, that can be a bit more tricky. But if you don't have those kind of responsibilities with an Italian passport, you can work in many countries. I think people are starting to realize this.
Okay. So let's talk about Australia.
Okay.
How do you feel about the experience in Australia? You stay there for 1 year, right?
1 year.
Yeah, okay.
I have different feelings about my experience in Australia. So I liked it, I really liked it for many aspects. As well for me it was a bit a moment that was a bit stuck on my mind, a bit confused, big change as well. I think in Australia like you can have many different experiences, many different lifestyles. So me I was living in a van and before I was living in a city. So 2 different lives, like Mackay and Brisbane, 2 different lives. The good point of Australia that you can kind of choose. You want to live in a big building in Melbourne, you can kind of afford it. You know, if you work hard, there are jobs, you can do that. If you want to live in a tent, you can live in a tent. You have people living in tents, you know, like Australian or backpackers. So that's pretty cool in my opinion that you can choose the kind of lifestyle you want. You can like find jobs really quick. The payment, the salaries are high, really high.
It's higher than the European countries, right?
I would say, I mean, there are maybe some European countries you can make similar like salaries, I think.
Okay.
But there are some jobs I think you make so much. Let's talk about the mines or like these kind of jobs. But the thing is like about Australia, you don't need like a crazy qualification. Like you don't need skills to get a good salary. In Europe, you need more qualification, you need more studies. You know, like if you want like a good amount of money, you need a good job. You know, I don't know. You're a lawyer, you're a doctor, you're an engineer. So let's say you didn't study in the university, Australia is kind of the perfect place because even if you get a job as a cleaner, it's a good salary, you can save up quick, you can, then of course it depends the life you want.
Have you ever thought staying there for long time, like for many years? I
don't see myself in Australia for many years now. Because I like, but for me, I found it difficult for me to connect maybe with Australian people. I see the culture is a bit different. As a foreigner, living in like those kind of places is complicated. Like you can really enjoy maybe life, the popular spots that can be Byron Bay, Gold Coast, Melbourne, Sydney, you know, those places you can really enjoy. But then if you go and live in the north of Australia, or if you go to live in the outback of Australia, I don't think it's for me, at least not for long term. So maybe if I go to Western Australia or other place, I would tell you like I will tell you a different idea. But based on my experience, I don't see myself in.
I know you had like bad experience in the restaurant we worked together. Remember the rare? Can you tell me more?
Okay, that was my fault,
Yeah, your fault?
No, not only my fault, but it was my fault because it was rude that day. I was a bit nervous and it was rude. But me, I didn't like the attitude, you know, people had with me, you know, like especially the managers, you know, coming to me, talking to me in this way. No, I'm not 17 anymore, I'm not 18, I have experiences, especially in a restaurant. And I worked in really good places in London. So
the thing is the manager, how he treat us is not so polite, right? I think a lot of people, a lot of our colleagues also have this same feelings at that time. But do you think this kind of experience affect you a lot? Like you don't want to take in the working holiday anymore, you just focus on the vacation? Or you just think it doesn't really matter, it's just a job?
No, I think it's not a job. Definitely. Because I have many, especially if you get hospitality jobs, you can have these kind of experiences. So this happened to me, not in this way, but in bars it can happen, you know, like with managers that come in a good way. This happened to me a lot. In Australia I felt it a few times, and especially, I don't know, maybe it's my point of view, but I felt it maybe more as a foreigner, foreigner in this country, and I felt like a different treatment. And this happened to me in Brisbane, it happened to me in Mackay. I don't know if it's just my feeling. I spoke with other like backpackers as well, other foreigners as well about this, and they kind of told me the same, so some of them. But maybe again, it's my feeling, and I don't want to generalize because I met many Australian people that were really polite, so I don't want to generalize on that.
I know you left Australia shortly after you quit that job, and then start to hitchhiking to Southeast Asia, right?
Yeah.
So does this thought come up with from the very beginning, or you just think about this kind of trip in Australia?
Me, I checked before. I checked already in a few countries in Africa. Not too much in Africa, not as I did in Southeast Asia and China. I did check in Australia. When I left Mackay, I went to Bowen with my sister.
Okay.
And from Bowen to Cape Tribulation, which is the tropical forest, I hitchhiked all the way. Because I sold my van, I didn't have my van anymore, and I hitchhiked. I enjoy hitchhiking. And when I came to Asia, I had already the idea, okay, I'm gonna try to hitchhike as much as I can. But at the beginning it took me a while. I did like small hitchhikes in Malaysia, because I needed to get used anyway, you need to get used to that. But then from Thailand, I was like, okay, this is the way I want to travel. So I don't know, when the idea came to my mind, I think the first time I checked, it was in a small island in Zanzibar in Tanzania. I worked in Zanzibar in 2019, and I was checking just because I didn't have like a way to get to the villa, so I was just going on the road, and that's it. But then I met a friend of mine, Israeli guy, when I was in Malawi, and they told me, we hitchhike. I was like, okay, I could try the same way, why not? And I started doing that.
How was your trip there, Southeast Asia?
Interesting, I would say. Interesting. Okay. At the end, it's been 9 months in Asia. Almost 9 months now. And in Southeast Asia, I spent 7 months. Yeah, because 2 months in China, more or less. And then the rest in Southeast Asia. All by land, no flights. Hitchhiking in Southeast Asia, I think is really easy. From my point of view, safe. I meet some girls that they do it alone, and my girlfriend does it alone as well. She did it in Southeast Asia a lot alone. Yeah, and we traveled together, like we met each other here, and then we started traveling by check together as well. But she was doing a little bit before. She does it in France, and I enjoy, like I meet many people, I try the food, I talk about history, I talk about the culture. One day I was hitchhiking and the guy invited me to the house, I slept there, and the next day he took me to the Chinese New Year, dancing with local clothes. But I couldn't understand anything in the beginning because I don't know what it was going on with the language. But then they explained me, and I felt really good. This situation that only happened to you if you hitchhike, honestly. Because if you get a bus, you go to point A to point B. But when I hitchhike, like in the morning, I'm like, okay, today I want to do 400 kilometers. And maybe after 3 hours, you move 20 kilometers. So like, okay, I will never get there. And then maybe someone picks you up and like, okay, come to your house. You sleep in my house tonight. And you're like, okay. So the plan change, and this is something I like. It's like, it's always a surprise.
Just encountering something different.
Not
in your plan.
Me, I like this kind of feeling.
Okay. Yeah, so I know you have a shortly trip from Laos to China, Yunnan province. So because I remember when we worked together, you told me you really want to visit China. So how was your trip there? Do you like there?
In
Yunnan.
For me, it was probably the best time I had in my trip. Probably. I don't know if to say that because when I met my girlfriend, we traveled together. The moment in Yunnan, the moment I entered China, for me it was I was in a dream. When I entered in China, I was so excited. Because it was like, I'm in China. Am I in China? Am I in China for real? I've never expected to arrive. I thought in my life, I wanted to go to China. But when I arrived, I felt, first of all, so far away. I came from Italy, I was in Australia, now I'm in China. And I felt really good, with people especially. Like, since the first moment I entered in China, I had many problems with Alipay, WeChat. I couldn't withdraw money, I had so many problems. And for the first moment, there was this guy he's from Shenzhen, I think, and he met me at the border. He took me to buy a SIM card. He paid for me the SIM card. Then he took me to the train station. He paid for me for the train station.
Wow.
We went to Xinchuan Bana, and I booked like a hotel, like a hostel, a really bad one. And he was like, no, don't go there, don't go there. And they invited me to his hotel. We slept in this big room, really nice with a big bed. I was like, okay, this is a good trip. And yeah, that was like the beginning. I was like, okay. Like we have many stereotypes, especially about China. And the Chinese culture, the Chinese politics. And I was like, yeah, I don't believe this. Me, I want to see with my own eyes. And when I entered China, I had a totally different perspective compared to what like people told me about the country. Some people in Europe, China is not safe, so I'm not safe. Me, I felt really welcome wherever I was going. People like looking at me, pictures, inviting me for food. I was like, wow, this is incredible. This is China. This is something that people like if they don't go to China, they cannot imagine. Especially again, like in Europe, that we have this.
Because they only heard from the news. How it looks like for China.
From the news, then there are like the classical stereotypes about any country. You can know like some about Italy, about the pasta, blah blah blah. You hear from the news, you only hear the bad things, But when I went there, Yunnan for me was a dream, and the places were so beautiful. I've seen probably the best mountain in my life. In Shangri-La, I went to do a trekking like. I remember the name of the lake, but it was like 4,600 meters. Incredible. The temples as well. The temples like all the Buddhist Taoist temples. For me, it was really really interesting. I think.
Okay. So this is technically the second time you visit because you back to Southeast Asia and then came to.
This is actually the third time.
The third time.
Because I went after Yunnan, I went to Vietnam, and then I came back to China to Guangxi province.
Guangxi province.
Then I came to Southeast Asia again, all the way down, and then all the way up again.
So, the last one. What's your plans afterwards? So, do you plan to go back to Italy, and what do you intend to do after you go back? Or you never go back to Italy? But you go back to Italy.
No, I took this decision about going back to Europe. I will take my flight now in 12 days, which I still need to realize that. I'm still like, okay, am I doing that? And I will go back 10 days to Italy, just to see my family, to see my grandparents mainly. And then I go to France. I move to France.
You move to France to travel? Continue your travel or just stay there to find a job there?
I will stay there. The girl I met in Asia, she's from France. She's moving to this little town in the south of France to study. So I will move with her there. And let's see. I try to find a job. I try to work a little bit. Try to sort out a little bit my mind. If I want to settle a little bit more, I'm thinking about studying next year, maybe university. Try to link like my travels with some academical studies. Or if I don't feel I want to stay in Europe, maybe it will be just a little time to stay there, and then maybe, go back to Australia or go back to travel. But for a while I will settle up. Maybe for a few months for sure, till 2025 I will stay in France, unless things go really bad. But I hope they will be good. But now I need to take some time, I think about like how was my last, let's say 2 years, because it's been 2 years I don't go back to Europe. Okay, I'm not going to travel in France. I'm not going to travel in this way. But for me, this is part of traveling, my life is not like traveling. I don't think it's only like moving around as I'm doing, like kind of not every day, but pretty often. Yeah, this is traveling, but traveling can be also, I do 1 year in a country, I do 1 year in another one, and I've been doing it for 5 years now. So 5 months in a place, 5 months in another, and maybe 1 month I move every day. So I work, I balance. And I've been to France for holidays, but it's something new, so I can learn the language. I see myself as a big journey, When people ask me how long have you been traveling, for me it's since the day I left school. So let's see. I will visit a bit France, I will visit more about Europe, for sure, but I will settle a bit more. And then we see.
So welcome to China next time. Okay, thank you.
Quiet life of desperation, but it ain't gonna make me too much longer. Been working too hard for this shit to not pop, so we about to get it poppin' now. Quiet life of desperation, so I'ma have to live a little louder. And no, I ain't gonna end up look like the man trying to figure out the man who got it figured out. I just bought me a new condo, and in the same year I moved back home. Guess your 20s ain't as friendly as the place where you were born. And anytime you reach for something, they claim that you need nothing.